Hey everybody and welcome. I'm Jim. He's Amadeus, and it's a Thursday, but Amadeus is a very interesting Thursday, and that is it's college football schedule Thursday, and this is the official day when everybody puts a number, by the school that has dates now. They have dates when they're going to play these teams. They knew who they were going to play. Now they know when, and so today is National Schedule Day. I know it should be a national holiday, but not yet. So National Schedule Day, we're here, and taking a look at college football.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see. We'll see what some of these teams have to play next year. It'll be very interesting.
To get
Obviously, there's
there.
been it's all been the conference alignment. So it's going to be a wacky season for sure. Now I see they're even talking about maybe a 14 team playoff, and we haven't even tried the 12 team playout off yet. So
Right, with
a
six
lot of movement.
automatic bids.
Yeah, we need those extra two because you gotta shoehorn a few more Power Five in there.
Right, got to get the two more SEC and two more Big Ten in there so we get more money. So there you go. There you go. 24/7, who is probably one of the best and most consistent college football sites. If you're a fan of college football, then this is a site that tracks both basketball and football, but their football goes recruiting wise. They go all the way down to like the juniors in high school who might eventually get to different schools. So they really do a pretty good job of just covering every possible area. And so what we're going to do is going to take a look at. They've had a chance to schedule and look at these schedules, and now they're going to go, and we're going to go through it with on their stuff, on their research, the top 15 toughest schedules. Number 15 on their list, and chime in anywhere you want to in this one, is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, they open against Western Kentucky at home. They get USF at home. Then they go on the road for Wisconsin. Georgia, they get at home. They go on the road to Vanderbilt. They're home to South Carolina. They're at Tennessee. That's going to be an interesting game. Missouri, they get at home. They go to LSU, play in Baton Rouge. Mercer is their cupcake, and they're at Oklahoma. They get Auburn for the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa. Of the 24/7 Sports early top 25, they theoretically would play top 25 teams. So that's your Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome to Tuscaloosa, Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll have to see, but that's I don't know. There was a few in there that doesn't sound too daunting of a schedule to me.
No, it's that really is, it's not a tough schedule. And speaking of not tough schedules, Alabama at 15. At 14, that's right, your Georgia Bulldogs. That's right. Clemson, they open the season against Clemson. That game is in Atlanta. So for those of you thinking that Georgia's going to have to go somewhere to play somebody, no. They go to Atlanta. Not a tough trip to face Clemson. We don't know how good Clemson is. My guess is they're not as good as Georgia, but we'll find that out. Tennessee Tech is up next for the Bulldogs. They're at Kentucky. They're at Alabama. They're home to Auburn. They're home to Mississippi State. They are at Austin to take on Texas. They come home from that game to Jacksonville to play their annual game against the Gators. They're at Ole Miss. They're home to Tennessee. UMass gets the trip down to play in Athens against Georgia. And then they finish the season, obviously, at Georgia Tech. And not unlike the Crimson Tide, 5 teams are who they play in the way too early 24/7 stop 25. I think Kirby Smart has a pretty decent schedule there on his hands.
Yeah, again, it's slightly tougher than the Alabama one, but yeah, I don't know. I guess Texas would really be the
Yeah, in Austin.
best team they're gonna face. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So, and of course, Kirby Smart's a defensive guy, and your mantra, which is, win championships by defense. So I think Kirby, it'll be an interesting game. It'll be an interesting season now that Oklahoma and Texas are in the SEC.
And
Coming up,
he's still pissed off from last year with
you
the way
can,
things ended. Even their win to end the season, he was pissed off about that nobody
yeah,
played.
yeah, they didn't put the guys on the field. Next up, the reigning national champions, your Michigan Wolverines. Their schedule, they kick off with Fresno State, then Texas. These are at the Big House. They get Texas at the Big House. They get Arkansas State at the Big House. They get USC at the Big House. They get Minnesota at home. They're at Washington, at Illinois. They get Michigan State at home. They get Oregon at home. They're at Indiana, Northwestern, and they're at Ohio State. I don't understand how that is not a top 15 tough schedule. That is just not.
I
I mean,
think it's
come on.
it gets about as tough as it can in the Big Ten. You could make the argument because they see they're gonna see, you said Oregon, Washington, Ohio State, so they're
But
gonna
they see them all at home.
Yeah, I guess the
And
good
Texas.
point. Yeah, Texas. I was going to say their non-conference, if anything, sounds. Fresno State's no joke too. Obviously, Michigan. It's Michigan. They'll probably roll them, but Fresno State's a good
Yeah.
team to have in a non-conference game. So that.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely not a walkover.
Yeah, and it's they're coming to USC's coming there. Michigan on the September 21st. To me, the game between Texas and the game between Oregon are going to be their toughest 2 games before they get to Ohio State. Notice they don't even have Penn State on that schedule.
Yeah, I did notice that. So that was a little interesting to me. But yeah, the other thing is, right, we don't know what teams like Washington and USC are really going to be. Like, obviously, we know, Jed Fish is a great guy, did wonders down at Arizona, but he's only in his first year at Washington, and they lost, the whole team to the NFL there. So it's
a little
be
tough. Yeah,
it's going to be tough for him in his first year. I expect Washington to be good down the line, but next year might not be their year specifically, but we'll have to see.
Well, Mark Stoops and the Kentucky Wildcats are in the number 12 position. Their schedule, real quick: Southern Miss, South Carolina. These are home games. Georgia, Ohio. They're at Ole Miss. Vandy at home. They're at Florida. Auburn at home. They're at Tennessee. Murray State. There you go. They're at Texas, and they're home to finish out the season, obviously in their rivalry match against Louisville. Mark Stoops has built good defenses there at Kentucky. I just don't know how good Kentucky is. They played pretty schizophrenic last year, so I'm not, adding Texas on that schedule is not going to help them. They got Georgia. I mean, I can name 3 losses without even, delving deep into it. They're going to lose to Texas. They're going to lose to Georgia. They're going to lose to Tennessee. They might lose to Florida, but I don't know about that. Maybe even Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's got a good football team down there.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? They might have the 13th toughest schedule, but they're not going to be a top 13 team, that's for sure. And especially with a schedule like that, it's only going to hurt them in the long run there. So maybe maybe a Kentucky team that struggles to even make a bowl game this year. Because I agree with you between Texas, Ole Miss. There was two others you named. Those are 100%.
Tennessee, yeah,
Yeah,
Tennessee.
Those are losses.
Georgia.
For sure. Georgia. So there you go. There's
Yeah.
4 losses right there. So they're gonna have to do a lot for sure. Louisville's no walkover too. You got to remember.
That's another one. Yeah.
Yeah, Braum was only in his first season coaching the team and took him to the ACC championship.
Right.
And just imagine now they're going to be playing with the vengeance that they lost that game last year in his first year. So, Kentucky, 6-6, I see coming your way.
Yeah. So that might get them to a bowl game, but not easily. Now, the aforementioned Jeb Fish is Washington Huskies are in the 11th spot. Now, they open with Weber State, Eastern Michigan at home, Washington State, Wazoo at home. That could be, I think Washington State lost a lot of players, so maybe not. They get Northwestern at home. This is their first year, obviously, in the Big Ten. Rutgers makes the trip out to.
How is this? How is this the what did you say 11th strongest? You've named 5 teams already, and none of them are good.
None of them are good. Here's the 6th team, Rutgers. Okay. Then you got Michigan. They play them at home out in Seattle. They travel to Iowa. They travel to Indiana. They get SC at home. They travel to Penn State. They're home to UCLA. And they make the trip down I-5 to face Oregon to end the season. That's not a very tough schedule, to be honest. But then again, you made the good point, and that is it's Jed's first year, and B, who the hell's on the team? It's like.
Yeah, but I don't think you can take I don't think you can take that into account in strength of schedule, right? We're basing it off the opponents they're playing. I don't care what this Washington team. This could be a terrible team or the best team in the country. That is not a strong schedule. It doesn't matter what kind of Washington team it is. And even their toughest game against the defending champions is at home.
Well, you brought up a point last year when we were talking college football, that Jed was the kind of guy who could turn things around quickly. He has no problem working the portal and doing what he needs to do in that regard. With this schedule like this, he might just be in contention for the big, for one of the 3 or 4 spots in the top of the Big Ten.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does. Obviously, he's a guy that we talked a lot about how he did it before Dion with the the almost 50 players, brand new players on the team. So this could be a brand new team, and I'm sure he'll do wonders with it. But I'm also sure a lot of guys followed him from Arizona. Obviously, they had that long line in the office there just to transfer. So
they probably chartered a plane and flew.
I know they all filled up the plane themselves,
right?
Just the whole team.
It's like they just changing decals on the helmets. So next up in the top 10, we got the Wisconsin Badgers. Okay, perennial 7-4 team, but we'll see how they do this year. Western Michigan, all right, from the MAC. They get a little MAC-tion there. South Dakota is next. This is interesting. They play Alabama, and that game is, a home game for them. So that's interesting. They're at USC. They are home to Purdue. They make the trip to Jersey to face Rutgers. They're also in Chicago to face Northwestern. They get Penn State at home. They get Iowa on the road. Oregon is at home for them. And then they go to Nebraska, and they finish out the season, as they always do, with Minnesota. So Luke Fickell, what can you do your second season there, bud? Again, Alabama, I'm looking, Penn State, Iowa gives some trouble. Oregon, perhaps. I don't know about Nebraska. Is probably not. They're better, but they're not that good. Minnesota, maybe. I don't know. That's a. It's not on. To me, it doesn't look like a tough schedule, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, that'll be
Not a top 10 schedule.
Yeah, it's got definitely does have some tough matchups for them,
Yeah.
but that's the thing, right? They're getting rid of the East and West this year in the Big Ten,
Right.
right? Yeah, that was the West was Wisconsin's only chance of being in the Big Ten championship.
Right. How the West was won. Yes. All right. Number 9. God love them. Here it is. The USC Trojans have the 9th toughest schedule. They open the season in Las Vegas against LSU. That should be interesting. Utah State.
They always kill themselves with these like
openers,
games.
The non-conference
and they
opener.
don't even play defense. So I don't understand like what the goal is. We're gonna show everybody how good it is when we can't stop this other team that we're facing.
Yeah, watch
we have to score
LSU
60 points to win.
Right, watch LSU run up and down the field on us. LSU in Vegas. Then they are home against Utah State. They're at Michigan. We mentioned that before. They get Wisconsin at home. They're at Minnesota. They get Penn State at home. They travel to Maryland. I may go to that game. They get Rutgers at home. They go up the coast to Washington. They face Nebraska and Los Angeles. They then face UCLA. And then it's Notre Dame, their rival. So they get 2 rivals at the end of the season. It's hard for me to say that again, it's a Big Ten schedule. You got the defending national champion Michigan. Okay, got that. Minnesota, decent team. Penn State, decent team. Nebraska, we talked a little bit about them. Washington, we don't know, but we think Washington will be better. UCLA, the poor UCLA people are in deep trouble out there. And then there's Notre Dame. So I guess it's only tough if USC can't field a good enough team. And that's possible.
I think it's a pretty tough schedule. I think they face some tough teams, especially in the non-conference. Schedule
LSU for sure.
LSU to start the season. Yeah. Neither team plays defense, but both can score. So, that's basically just who can win the shootout. So you're already starting off with a 50-50. And honestly, Rutgers did show some improvement last year. It almost sounds like
so did Maryland.
There's a bit of a challenge in almost every other game, I would say, on their schedule. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Fair enough. The 8th team on our list is the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Okay, well,
they always play a tough schedule.
Yeah, when you're the worst team in the conference, everybody is so much better than you. The schedule is going to be tough regardless.
Yeah, the joke on that is, they're everybody's homecoming game. So, because you want to win your homecoming game. They open against Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech, they're not the Virginia Tech of Frank Beamer, but they're an improving Virginia Tech. Alcorn State. So those are first 2 at home. They go on the road to play Georgia State in Atlanta. They're at Missouri. Missouri continues to be one of those sleeper teams that last year, they're a good football team. They follow that with Alabama. They follow them with Kentucky. Ball State's no walkover. They get Texas at home. They go to Auburn. They're home to South Carolina. They go to LSU, and then they finish the season at Tennessee. That, my friends, that qualifies as a hell of a schedule.
That's a brutal schedule. And I was going to make a comment that they don't really play anybody in the non-conference games. Now I see why you put yourself through the ringer when the conference schedule starts.
Here's your conference, okay? Games in a row. You're at Missouri, you're home to Alabama, you're at Kentucky, you get Ball State wedged in there. You're home to Texas. You're at Auburn. You're home to South Carolina. You're at LSU, and you finish the season at Tennessee. I don't. I hope that they have enough players to finish the season.
And that's the thing, right? Like even the weaker teams they're playing,
Yeah.
like Auburn and Kentucky, they're on
Right.
the road for those
Right.
games. It's a brutal schedule.
Right. And
Brutal schedule.
even the home games. I mean, Virginia Tech again. They're not a walkover. Alcorn State may be a walkover, but man, it's
Georgia
just not
State's definitely no walkover. That
right.
was a good team in the Sun
Yeah.
Belt.
Last year.
I don't know what to say. I mean, man, it just one thing is to be, the worst team in your conference season after season. It's another thing to schedule them as the punching bag for everybody else. That's just not fair. Now we're doing an injustice on Vanderbilt here. That's what I see.
Wow. All right. So Mississippi State's in that number 7 slot. Jeff Levy is their, first year head coach. They play Eastern Kentucky to start the season. They go to Arizona State. They get Toledo at home. Their first home game as, in the SEC is against the Gators. Then they go to Texas. Then they go to Georgia. They're home to Texas A&M. They're home to Arkansas. They welcome, trust me when I say this, they welcome UMass to Starkville. Then they go on the road to Tennessee. They get Missouri at home. They finish at Ole Miss. That's a tough schedule.
Yeah, there's a few on there that I think they do play. Some of the lower teams in the SEC. Yeah. Obviously, Arkansas was. A lot of people had high hopes for Arkansas last year, and they turned out to be awful. So it depends what kind of Arkansas team we're gonna have this year, but. I mean, it's okay. I think Vanderbilt's schedule is a little tougher.
Right now, Vanderbilt's got the
toughest. Yeah, they got the toughest schedule in the country. And it doesn't help when you're one of the worst too.
Right, Murderers Row. Yeah. All right. Next up, your Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They open against Florida State in Dublin, Ireland. They come home to face Georgia State, which basically is the battle for Atlanta. VMI, Virginia Military Institute. That ends your well, they open with a conference game against Florida State. Then they face Notre Dame at home. They're at Georgia. They get Duke at home. They get Miami at home. They get NC State at home. They're at Louisville. They get North Carolina at home. They're at Syracuse. They finish the season at Georgia Tech. So there you go.
It sounds like it could be a tough schedule.
Yeah, but it could go the other way too.
Yeah, if they didn't play in the ACC, it would be like really tough schedule. But that's the thing with those teams. Like NC State showed improvement. Are they going to continue this year? Who knows? North Carolina lost a quarterback to the draft, right? Obviously, they churned out Drake May after they churned out Sam Howell, but who knows with that team? Another one that doesn't play defense. So there's some interesting ACC games in there. I don't think the conference is too strong, but maybe that's the reason why Clemson is favored to win it.
Well, welcome to the Big Ten UCLA, your number 5 schedule situation. Chip has gone. He moved on to be in Columbus, Ohio.
Can't beat him, so I'm going to join him. Haven't even played him yet, but I already know can't beat him, so I'm going to join him.
A kind of under the radar thing happened last week, and that was it. UCLA hired Eric Bieniemy to be the offensive coordinator and assistant head football coach there. So that did kind of keep some of the potential Bruins who were going to take flight to stay there. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. They open the season, and I don't know about you, but we could make this trip. They open in Hawaii. Not a bad way to open.
I'm down for that trip.
There you go. They come home to Los Angeles to play Indiana, so they can be 2-0 potentially. Then they go to LSU. Oh, LSU and the the Southeastern. I'm sorry, and the Big Ten seem to be a lot of LSU and playing Big Ten teams. So LSU, then they're home to Oregon. They go to Penn State. They go to PJ Fleck and see him in Minnesota. They're at Rutgers. They're at Nebraska. They're home to Iowa. They're at Washington. They're home to USC. And they finish the season with Fresno State, which you said at the top of the show is not a bad football team.
Yeah, these schedules are supposed to get tougher, aren't they? It doesn't seem like that.
Yeah, but I mean, right now UCLA's in a bit of a disarray with all of the crazy that happened there. So to take a look
Yeah.
at that. All right. Fourth on the list is South Carolina Gamecocks. They open with Old Dominion. They are at Kentucky. Then they're home to LSU. They are home to Akron. They're home to Ole Miss. They visit Alabama. Then they go to Oklahoma, and they face Texas A&M at home. They face Vanderbilt on the road. We've already picked that one up. Missouri on the at home. Wolford is their cupcake before the end of the season, which is played at Clemson. 6 teams in the ranked opponents of 24/7 is way too early, top 25 there. So the Gamecocks of South Carolina should be interesting to see how, it works out for them.
Yeah, they're not making a bowl game this season.
Nah. Don't book it, folks.
Vandy, Wolford, and maybe the MAC teams. Those are their wins this year.
If they're lucky. All right. Now you said Arkansas was the team everybody's darling last year. Well, they're number 3 in the schedule this year. Maybe because of what you just said. They were everybody's darling last year, but now they got to pay the piper. So
yeah, they let everybody down, and now it's like now you're gonna suffer. You're gonna be bad. At least let's schedule you against the good teams.
Beat you up, son. Okay. Arkansas Pine Bluff gets them right off the bat. They then travel over to Oklahoma State. They come home to play UAB. They are at Auburn. They are home to Texas A&M, although that game will be played in Arlington. So in Jerry's world, they face Tennessee. So you got Auburn, Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Texas, Louisiana Tech, and Missouri are how they finish out. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. That's a pretty tough schedule for a not great Arkansas team.
It's a tough schedule, but I don't know. I still think Vanderbilt's was
so far. Tougher. Yeah, Vandy's got the.
They got like the toughest one.
They're the leader in the clubhouse. There's no doubt about that.
Maybe because when you're so bad, you have to play the good teams, and every team is a good team compared to you. But I don't know. Even the one we just did before this sounded a little tougher. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. Arkansas maybe getting off the hook here.
You got your buddy Brett Venable, and the Oklahoma Sooners get the number 2 toughest schedule in the country.
They deserve it.
And
after that debacle last year.
All right, I it's hard for me to open with that line and then say the first game out of the block is their home to Temple.
Oh, come on.
Then they get Houston. It's almost like they haven't left the Big 12 yet. They get Tulane. Then things get fun. They face Tennessee at home. They go to Auburn. Texas, as we said before, at Dallas. So, that's the Red River rivalry. South Carolina, they get at home. They go to face Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. They face Maine in their next to last game of the season.
Such a tough one there.
I said next to last. It's not next to last. I'm sorry. They're on the road to Missouri. Then they close with these 3 tough 3. Missouri, which they're on the road to face. They're home to Alabama, and they're on the road at LSU. So that's a pretty good closing because you sprinkle in Auburn and Texas into that mix, and you got Ole Miss in there, and so you got yourself a pretty interesting 6 of the way too early top 25 that 247 put together. And
The last two, I was
yeah,
gonna say the last two we've gone over sound a lot like USC's schedule last season, where it was, cupcake, 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 and then you get to the second half of the season
kaboom!
and
Right, kaboom! All right, the number one toughest schedule, the Florida Gators. I didn't see
your
this.
Gators, Jim.
I didn't see this. All right. So where are we going here? They play 7, by the way, of the 24/7 way to too early top 25. They open with Miami. Okay. They get Samford, not to be confused with Stanford. Samford, the school in Alabama.
At least they're not taking on the basketball team.
Right, exactly. Texas A&M comes to Gainesville. They're at Mississippi State. They're home to Central Florida. They're at Tennessee. They're home to Kentucky. Georgia, they get in Jacksonville. They go to Texas. They're home to LSU, home to Ole Miss, and home to Florida State. 7 out of the way too early top 25 for 247 sports. I'm hoping that Billy Napier has he identified that defense has to be better. Surprise. So is the offense, Bill. No, not to rain on your parade there, buddy, but you are facing some pretty good football teams there. Their non-conference schedule isn't easy. I mean,
definitely a tough schedule.
They got UCF, Miami, and Florida State's their top. They're 3 of the 4. They get Samford in there, but 3 of the 4 teams in the non-conference schedule is they're all tough schools. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
You didn't think they were making a bowl game last year, Jim. What do you say this year? They making a bowl? Is that a bowl team?
Not anywhere I would. Not if they survive that. If they win 6 of those games, they deserve to be in a bowl. That'd be interesting. That's for darn sure. All right, now we talked about the group of 5, right? And how the group of 5 teams are actually getting better. And now that we have an expanded playoff, then we could very well see not 1 but maybe even 2 group of 5 teams. So here's a look at some of the group of 5 teams that we should be looking at, and that's Boise State at our top of the group of 5 listings. Now Spencer Danielson is a first-year coach. He's only 35 years old, and he's done some pretty good stuff. So far. They defeated UNLV by 24 points to win the conference championship 4 years ago. He's now working on getting. He's got some good people. He's got USC transfer Malachi Nelson, and Malachi Nelson is a good quarterback. So we'll see how they do on the Smurf turf, but Boise State, keep an eye on Boise State this year. See what's going on with them. Here's your favorite team, Liberty. Now, they're probably the odds-on favorite, frankly, for this because I don't. In Conference USA, they should win 10 games easy. They may not. They actually may run the table.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see. We'll see if our boys over at New Mexico State have anything to say about that next year.
True,
Because
true.
we'll see about that. But yeah, definitely. I mean, how can you not love this Liberty team? Obviously, they went undefeated throughout the regular season, the conference schedule, won the conference championship. They finished as a ranked team. And hey, it was all in Jamie Chadwell's first year coaching the team. It was
Right.
like they hadn't even missed a beat from when Hugh Freeze left. So,
Right.
yeah, when you see a team do that, where, you can lose your head coach and it's like nothing changed. If anything, you got better last year than maybe the move. Obviously they were an independent the year before, so probably the move to the conference ended up with a
Sure, yeah.
weaker schedule than they would have saw
Yeah.
as an independent. But absolutely, I think Liberty is the team to beat right now. They
Mhm.
definitely showed it last year.
Absolutely. The Tulane Green Wave. Now, over the last 2 years, they've gone 23-4, and they made a New Year's Six bowl game and beat USC in that game. So we'll have to see what's going on. Now they did lose Willie Fritz as their head football coach, um, and so we'll have to see what things go as John Summerall takes over. He was the head coach at Troy, where he won 2 conference championships and has done quite well for himself. So we'll see how that changeover happens. Couple of dark horses here in there, and that's one of them's Appalachian State. They think the Sun Belt has seen their profile in recent years get better and steadily rising. So the Mountaineers of Appalachian State, App State always has a pretty solid football team, and so we'll see how they go from that standpoint. A couple of dark horses again from the AAC is Memphis, and that's right, USF. So, but USF has a brutal first month of the season by playing Auburn. I'm sorry, not Auburn, Alabama at Alabama, and they get Miami at home with one week pushed in the middle of that. So that's not exactly the way you want to start. But
Hey, they almost beat Alabama last year. You don't know
right,
what we're getting in the Sabanless
right.
era now. So
Well, we may get we may have to pull out our soon to be gotten shirts and get the rodeo headed for football season. So that's a little bit of a look at what's going on. We have some comments here. Let's Amadeus Mozart, okay. Um, Jim Bob, Billy Bob, yeah, it's me too. Okay, good. Glad to have comments, like that. Thanks for coming in. No, I mean it's fun to look at these things, yeah, but there's a lot that happens between now and you know and late August when they start playing these games, and we'll have a lot of opportunity to take a look at it between now and then. But it's fun to look at what's going on. But those 15 schedules, it's fun to look at them, but you still have to play the games, and we'll have to see who, you know, a lot of these teams don't even know who their starting quarterback is, and many of them just, are just getting together. They got new head coaches, and there's a lot of "hello, who are you" type situations. We'll know a lot more about these teams once they get out of spring practice and have their spring games.
yeah, and that's the thing, right? A lot of this is based off top 25 teams, how many they're going to see this year. And as we all know, we got the preseason top 25 right now, but 3 weeks into the year, half of those teams aren't going to be ranked anyway. So
That's true. I mean, that is absolutely true. We didn't see. Correct me if I'm wrong. We didn't see a Big 12 or a ACC team in that stack of game. Clemson. We saw Clemson in there.
yeah, I was gonna say I remember one ACC team because I made that
No, we
comment
didn't see
on the
Clemson either.
No, it wasn't Clemson. It was a different ACC team.
Oh, Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, right now it's the Big Two. It's
Big 12, though. You're right. We didn't hear. We definitely didn't hear a Big 12 in there.
No.
Or Pac-2.
Yeah, the Pac-2 didn't show up either. It's funny. I think we talked about this. The early, the early money on on the Big 12 continues. Unless it's changed, it continues to be on Utah.
Yeah, I can definitely check that. Just give me
Mm-hmm.
1 second here with the college football futures. Got to find that. You want to win the Big 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State at plus
Okay.
350 is the leader, and Utah is right behind at plus 400. So yeah, I guess Kansas State, that game against Texas last year and the way they won the Big 12 championship 2 years ago, I guess
Impress some people.
yeah, they've left a lasting taste in people's mouth. I guess when you're producing a guy like Will Howard too. So I guess people have high hopes for Kansas State in what might be a weaker conference this year. So
yeah, well, it's gonna be
wouldn't shock me.
No, and the Big Four from out west. Right now, I got to think that Colorado's in scramble mode. You coming into the Big 12, you have a much easier schedule, and so I think Dion and the gang are going to be put on alert for this particular. If they don't make a bowl game, I think that's going to be it's going to be tough for Dion.
Yeah, they definitely need to make a bowl game this year, but more so because they're in a conference where they really can, right?
Mm-hmm,
So
yeah.
Where do you think they are in the list to win the Big 12 this year?
You mean in the in betting?
Yeah, out of all the teams. So hold on.
I'll go fifth.
So there's 16 teams now in
Yeah.
the Big 12, and yeah. So where did you say? Sorry,
number 5 maybe.
They are 11th on the list at plus 4,000.
Ooh.
11
Wow.
out of 16. So
I'm a little surprised about that.
I think because maybe this, and again, this might be just an overreaction because
Mm-hmm.
obviously we don't know what the team's going to be this year. This might be an overreaction to last year. They set the win total at I think it was 3.5,
right?
And they got burned fairly early in the season because they were so good in the non-conference games. Now this might be a bit of an overreaction, like they're going to be bad again, but
course correction, yes.
Yeah, but so they're going to be. I don't know what this Colorado team is going to be. But
I don't either.
I do have a question for you, Jim.
Sure.
Because I just mentioned the 16 Big 12 teams.
Mm-hmm.
And the Big 10 now has 18 teams in it.
Right.
So when do we change the conference names to reflect the number of teams now to the Big 16 and the Big 18?
I don't know. I mean, the Big 10 had 11 teams in there for a long time. I don't know. I guess it's too expensive to change the fonts.
Already.
Yeah, that to reprint everything. No, it's interesting. There might as well be the Big 2 because that's those are the Big 10 and the Southeastern Conference rule the day. Not much love on who's going to win from from either the ACC or the Big 12. I gotta say, I think this is a make or break season for Clemson. I really do. I think if Dabo Swinney can't figure out a way to get them back into the playoff picture, I think that I'm not saying Dabo Swinney's going to get fired. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying that the relevance and the importance of Clemson on a national stage has faded over the last 3 years, and I think it's going to be a tough road to hoe for them coming up this year if they don't have a good season.
Yeah, I totally agree. He almost seems like he's kind of done with the job.
Yeah.
Almost it's like, as you said, he hasn't put in as much effort recruiting this year and things like that. He doesn't use the transfer portal, which has
Hmm.
been one of his big criticisms. So it's almost like, the effort's going out the window. You got to produce some results this year, or hell, he
Hmm.
might even just be like, I'm done with this. I'm
He could
tired of
take
losing.
walk with Saban. Um, he lost Brett Venables and to Oklahoma, and I don't think people can understand how important a recruiter that Brett Venables was to Clemson, and specifically how important he was to defense at Clemson. I mean, there wasn't a good defensive player in the country that Brett didn't at least know, and he may not have gotten him, but he definitely knew where they were. And that same thing kind of happened to Alabama when Kirby Smart left and went to Georgia. So I mean, you're seeing how Kirby is recruiting. You're seeing how Brent Venables is doing over at Oklahoma. So we'll see. But there's another make or break in Miami with Mario Cristobal. You know,
Yeah, the
I know you're a
decisions.
big fan.
Yeah, well,
Um,
it's funny because the thing that saves him is that he's a great recruiter because he's like one of the boys with these
yeah,
players, but then you get these stupid decisions where I don't know, maybe it was the players that went and did that, right? Because I did hear some
right,
stuff coming out that it was the players and he was just covering instead of
right,
throwing them under the bus. And
right,
hell, maybe the team respects him even more for that. So
right.
I don't see how he's a bad guy,
Yeah.
but if that was your decision that you made, very dumb decision. If you're covering for a player, that's fine. But those
Hmm.
players that respect you so much for covering for them, they better play for you this year and show some
Yeah.
results.
Well, I mean, look, he recruits as well as anybody in the country, no matter where he is. The problem his problem has always been his game day. His game day decisions have been, questioned, and for good reason. They've got on paper as good a team as FSU does in in the ACC this year. Now, will they be able to translate that from paper to actually, winning? We'll see. But this is, there's a few coaches that are in that, you know, hurry up and wait mode. And I think with the money they put and invested into him in Miami, I think they're in the hurry up mode. And let's see how we can get up there and win. So it'll be fun. We'll be getting around to it. So there's that. Anyway, let's talk about what's going on today with your picks, which you can get, of course, in the show box below.
Yeah, make sure you check out my premium picks at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. The links are in the description below. I only got 2 plays up tonight. One starts at 3:30. It's a soccer play. I was 1-1 on the pitch with my plays in Italy yesterday, but looking to bounce back with a nice Copa del Rey winner today. And I also have one NBA play that you can get. I
Ah,
did cash my NBA play last night with the Nuggets, so make sure you go check out tonight's big winner.
there you go. And we will be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And there's a lot of big college basketball coming up tomorrow. And as we head into the final couple of weeks of regular season before conference tournaments and the NCAA March Madness begins. So join us. We'll talk about a ton of stuff tomorrow because it's going to be a very busy weekend. And until then, be sure to check out Amedeus's stuff in the show box below. And we will be back tomorrow around 2 o'clock. Take care, everybody. Bye.